Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. I trust that you are well this glorious day, and it is another fabulous morning here in West Central Florida. I trust again that you are doing great. We're gonna mix things up a little bit. In the description, there are some things that we're going to draw from, I think, today, as opposed to having three things that we lock down on. So, it gives me a little flexibility. And I'm flexible in every way except physically. But, so we're going to do that today. And I hope I choose right. And I hope that you enjoy. And I hope that you're able to use some of the stuff that we talk about today. Because it's, things are getting real. Things are getting real. I have said this to you a number of times here, especially recently, that in order to be a conservative, you've got to be three things. You have to be educated, you have to be moral, and you have to be mature. And being mature means that you have to make mature choices. And you have to be able to make choices. Because there are choices that have to be made. And we have to make them in a way that moves us forward. There is a place and a time for not compromising. That is definitely important. That is for sure, because that's part of being moral, is not compromising. But there's also time, and I'm not saying that this is compromising, to make smart decisions moving forward, to make intelligent, strategic decisions moving forward without compromising. That's why you have to be educated. It's, being a conservative nowadays is not for wimps. It's not for the emotionally weak. It is not for the easily led. It's not for people who are concerned about what other people say about them. It's not for y'all. It's not for the sycophants. It's not for the people who are looking for a leader. Being conservative nowadays is none of those things. Being conservative nowadays is being able to move forward on your own, if need be, pointing out the things that are real, discounting the things that aren't real, discounting the things that aren't important. Demi Lovato coming out as non-binary was on the Western Journal page yesterday, and the only thing I could think of was, why? Who gives a rat's butt about anything that Demi Lovato says? and that Demi Lovato is non-binary, whatever the heck that means. Why does anybody care? It's a lack of focus. Because we got some stuff we're going to talk about today that we're really going to have to, in order for it to, not destroy the Republic, and I don't use that phrase hyperbolically, in order for it not to destroy the Republic, we're going to have to address it in the most mature, educated way possible. All right, we're going to do a little break. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. We'll be back right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. Um, but you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. All right. Well, thank you ever so much for you spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it. I know everybody says that, but I'm telling you, when you are in this battle, when you're fighting a multi-battle war, for lack of better terms, where you're fighting against the left, trying to throttle you and try to shadow ban you and all that stuff. You got that going on top of the intense, and there's intense conversation in this space that we're in right now. You guys have so many choices. And there are some of the choices that moved into this whole thing with a ton of frickin' money. A ton of frickin' money for resources and the like, and just started crushing some of us. Literally started crushing some of us. So, it's great. And I'm super thankful for those who listen. All right, let's go ahead and get with it. A lot of us have been trying to advise Republicans, establishment Republicans, or Republicans in general, for years. For freaking years. trying to offer our little bit of advice, especially black conservatives, from trying to offer our advice from our rather unique perspective. And there isn't any way to say that we don't have a unique perspective, because we do. And we've been trying to say, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. And they don't listen. They definitely don't follow any of the advice. So I'm guessing they're not listening. They're not hearing. Or they are listening and hearing and ignoring. The Democrats in the House and the Senate want to put together something called a January 6th riot commission to explore what happened. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell publicly opposed the bipartisan commission to study the January 6th riot at the United States Capitol. Some people, some of these Republicans in these positions are saying, well, here's what we ought to do. When we do this, this is what we ought to do. What? This is nothing more than more theater to have on CNN. They are producing a CNN daytime program. I mean, really, let there be no doubt. They are producing a CNN daily program that all the major news outlets can check in, they can take clips from, and continue to play. And because, you know what, and you know why, and I know why. Because Donald Trump will not go away. Now, I'm not asking for Donald Trump to go away, but Donald Trump will not go away. And they saw with their own eyes what happened to Liz Cheney because of her votes to impeach the president. They've seen what's happened to Mittens Romney. Should I call him Mittens? That's really disrespectful. Yeah, but I don't care. When he goes to a Republican meeting in Utah, of all the nicest places in the country, and gets booed. They see something. Again, the left, and I've said this for years, and I'm saying it again right now, the left will always tell you who and what they're afraid of. They don't have any problem. They come right out and tell us. All we have to do is watch it. All we have to do is listen to what they're saying. Watch what they're doing. They'll tell you who they're afraid of. They'll tell you what they're afraid of. So, in trying their best to continue to damage Trump, they hope to damage people like Greg Abbott, a Trump supporter. They hope to damage people like Ron DeSantis, because they are scared witless of Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis went against the grain. Ron DeSantis got into office as governor of Florida because he was a Trump supporter, out loud Trump supporter. Did the cute little video about building a wall. Remember? And in a fairly purple state, probably the most purplish state ever. Ron DeSantis is, you know what, in the largest crisis, manufactured crisis in recent history, is managing it in a way that nobody gave him credit for. They called him Death Santis for a while. But the truth of the matter was that the real killer Corona was actually the person that they were holding up. It was Killer Corona Cuomo, right? So they are ready to damage anything Trump or Trump-like. They've said that. They said early on, it's not just getting rid of Trump. It's getting rid of all the Trump supporters. It's damaging them. That's what this is about. So anybody any Congress critter who's entertaining being on this commission is just an extra in this program that they're producing. this CNN, MSNBC show that they're producing. It's incredibly stupid. There's been, the quote is, there's been and will continue to be no shortage of robust investigations by two separate branches of the federal government. This is Mitch McConnell, he said on the Senate floor. It's not clear what new facts or additional investigations yet another commission could actually lay on top of the existing efforts by law enforcement. The House, of course, is expected to pass the legislation to create the commission on next Wednesday with bipartisan support. This creates two things. This creates this nonsensical program for CNN and MSNBC and Washington Post and New York Times. This actually creates havoc and turbulence inside the Republican Party. These people are awful, but they're not dumb. These people are awful, but they are not dumb. And Republicans, some of them are awful, and some of them are dumb. When the opposite team keeps faking the ball to the right and running to the left, and faking the ball to the right and running to the left, and faking the ball to the right and running to the left, and faking the ball to the right and running to the left, and you don't protect the left ever, and they score a touchdown every time. They fake the ball to the right and run to the left, and you don't figure that out, then you're dumb. I don't know of an. I just can't imagine. I can't say it any other way. Then you're dumb. You're just dumb, or you're doing it on purpose. Smarten up. Now, what is our position in this? This really, really illuminates what you and I need to do. Facebook activism is dead. I'll say it again. Facebook activism is dead. It was always dead. I believe Facebook activism might have been stillborn. Facebook activism is dead. The only kind of activism that matters is that you need to, wherever you are, you need to find, because there is a possibility of doing something about the makeup of Congress or the makeup of the House of Representatives. And there is a chance that we could lose, that some of us could lose seats in the Senate. And the Senate has been, like I said yesterday or day before, the sort of finger in the dike. So that's where you need to be. That is where you need to be. If you're wondering what you need to do, that's where you need to be. That's where your efforts need to be. That's it. Not pointing out wanton hypocrisy, because you're never going to be able to change their mind about it. They said, "Oh yeah, I know it's hypocritical, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it?" Now, whether your real activism is going to meetings and supporting candidates with your time, energy, effort, and your cash. It takes cash, folks. You can't do this for free. You can't do any of this for free. Activism is not being mad that Rush Limbaugh is dead and all his replacements suck. That's not activism. Sitting behind this microphone isn't activism. If I don't do some things here in my own community, this is not activism either. Punditry is not activism, and we have confused that. We have confused punditry and commentary for activism. It is not. I don't consider myself an activist because I'm sitting behind this microphone. I'm sort of the town crier But that in itself isn't activism either. Unless I can, unless I'm out there knocking on doors and supporting candidates with my time, energy, effort, and my cash. Keeping some of these Congress critters and my local city council and county commission and mayors, and city, state reps and state senators, making sure they're accountable to the things that their constituency wants. Unless I'm doing all that, then I'm just sitting behind this fantastic Blue Yeti microphone. I'm using my son's microphone. I used one of these forever, and it just got weird. And I used it for 10 years, and it got weird. Okay, now he bought one because he was doing a podcast, and now he's not doing a podcast, so I'm using it, and it is fabulous, as you can tell. It's wonderfully gentle to my my velvety voice. All right, listen, we're gonna take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet, and you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices, and you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. Yes, my name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, FightBackMedia.com, FightBackMedia.com. We appreciate you. President Biden did one of his promises, one of his campaign promises. He did make good on recently, yesterday afternoon. President Joe Biden's newly formed commission to study the Supreme Court and federal judiciary met for the first time on Wednesday afternoon. The commission consists of 36 members ranging from legal scholars, law professors, and retired judges. The membership will submit a report to the president after 6 months. Biden pledged to create a commission during his presidential run, as Democrats advocating for the expansion of the Supreme Court. The packing of the court, the very same thing that Biden as a senator warned against. The first meeting of the commission lasted less than 30 minutes. What they basically did was they spent time swearing in the commissioners. Now, apparently, this is what the commission is going to study. You don't believe this, and I don't believe this either. The genesis of the reform debate, how this started, the court's role in the constitutional system. The court's role in the constitutional system is set forth in the Constitution. There's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. The court's role is set forth in the Constitution of the United States. The length of service and turnover of Supreme Court. Are they going to have people serve until they die? I don't know if that's a good idea. Proposals regarding the membership and size of the court, including debates to expand it. Now, there isn't anything in the Constitution about how big the court can be or how small the court can be. The court started off, for a long time was at 8, with the Chief Justice of the court abstaining unless their vote was necessary. Also, they said they're going to study issues around the Supreme Court's case selection and review, as well as docket rules and practices. How the Supreme Court does their business. Also set up in the Constitution of the United States. Calls for adding justices to the bench of the High Court began to gain steam within the Democratic Party after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And then Trump, who had already said that he was going to nominate Amy Coney Barrett, was confirmed to the bench. And boy, they hated that. So here's what they do. If you use the same crap that they've used to make the court more liberal or make the court more progressive, and you figure that you can do the same thing, boy, they get pissed off. And now they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't make the court political. When the left has made the court political and their go-to for decades. Now, I'm not trying to point out their hypocrisy, because obviously the hypocrisy is there for everybody to see, but that's not the point. The point is to make sure this foolishness doesn't go any farther than it's going. Now, how are they able to do this? Because you didn't win the White House. That's why. And what else didn't you do? You didn't win the House of Representatives. So this is how. There's no debating. There's no coming to agreement. There's no holding hands and singing freaking kumbaya. Those days are over. I tell people all the time when we talk about unions, if a union doesn't have an adversarial relationship with the employer, the only people that are getting screwed are the people who are paying union dues. If you look into the house, now let's see if you get this reference. If you look into the house from the barnyard, and you can't tell the pigs from the people, your days are numbered. That's the deal. So unless you have a way to make sure that you are being represented in that room, which you are not currently, then these kind of things are going to continue to happen. Not only is the Biden committee on SCOTUS happening, like I said, the commission on the January 6th riot. Why? All to throttle back, change, erase, damage Donald Trump. And not just Donald Trump, but you. When are some of you going to learn? You've got this, I don't know, this complex that all these things, some of you have this complex that all these things are on the up and up, and it's all just, it's just all political theater. No, it isn't. I wish it were. Then I wouldn't have to get up on my sore ankle, waddle my fat ass in here and sit behind this microphone and tell you differently. And the way forward is what? Making sure that you control the people who are representing you. And how do I know this works? Because Governor Greg Abbott just signed in Texas, damn it, a bipartisan Hearbeat bill into law to protect the unborn from the ravages of abortion. If I could restate that headline, from the ravages of murder by doctors. In a year that has already seen a record number of pro-life laws considered at the state level, Texas now has a law that bans abortion after a heartbeat is detected, at about 6 weeks past a woman's last menstrual period. Governor Greg Abbott, Republican from Texas, signed the bipartisan bill into law yesterday. According to a May 2019 Hill-Harris poll, a majority of respondents don't think laws banning abortions past 6 weeks are too restrictive. Of 1,000 registered voters, 21% think they're too lenient, and 34% think they're just right. The Institute of Pro-Life Advancement, a project of Students for Life of America, found that millennials and Gen Z support such legislation. Millennials and Gen Zs by 47% to 38% supported such a ban. And by a large margin, 60 to 25% supported requiring doctors to check for a heartbeat before offering to commit an abortion, before offering to commit murder. After this stage of pregnancy, a woman may undergo suction or aspiration DC abortion, which is a procedure which is a suction catheter inserted into the mother's uterus to extract the preborn baby, as described by Live Action's Abortion Procedures Project. Another method is chemical abortion, in which the woman takes pills containing RU4486 or Cytec to end the life of the baby, and has contractions to expel the now dead baby. This is what's going on now. According to the Mayo Clinic, growth is rapid this week. Just 4 weeks after conception, the neural tube along the baby's back is closing. The baby's brain and spinal cord will develop from the neural tube. The heart and other organs are also starting to form, and the heart begins to beat. Structures necessary for the formation of eyes and ears develop. Small buds appear that will soon become arms. Your baby's body begins to take on a C-shaped curvature. This is from the Mayo Clinic. This is what actually happens. So when these idiots, these murderers, tell you that it's just a clump of cells, hell, by that definition, you're just a clump of cells. You're 60 and you're just a clump of cells. You're 150 and you're just a clump of cells. You know? So so this idea that at that point, well, they're just a clump of cells. They're a clump of human cells, by the way. So when somebody tells you that, just look at them and go, yes, they are a clump of cells. Human cells. They are a clump of human cells. Just like the person saying it. That's all we all are. Of course, lawsuits are likely to follow because Planned Parenthood does not want their money messed with. Planned Parenthood tweeted, today Governor Abbott signed SB 8, a dangerous law that would ban abortion before most people even know they're pregnant. The majority of Texans support access to safe and legal abortions, but they don't really. But politicians are still attacking abortion access. Isn't it interesting? A dangerous law that would ban the murder of children. This is more newspeak. It's more 1984 stuff. If you haven't read 1984, read it. If I could get permission, I would come on one evening and read the entire book to you. If that's what you want me to do. Send me an email, fightbackmedia at gmail.com. Would you like me to sit down and read the entire book to you? So you hear it? Because you're too lazy to read it? This is newspeak. One more time from Planned Parenthood. Today, Governor Abbott signed Senate Bill 8, a dangerous law that would ban abortion. Let me tell you what they're saying. A dangerous law that would ban the murder of children in utero. Yes. Good. They also say SB 8, Senate Bill 8 signing comes 2 days after the Supreme Court's announcement that it will consider a Mississippi case challenging a ban on abortion after 15 weeks, putting Roe v. Wade in danger and 25 million people at risk of losing abortion access. That's not what it's about. And it puts Planned Parenthood's check, their money, their lifeblood, their blood money at risk. That's what it's about for them. And they're angry. In 2020, they've also tweeted, in 2021, legislators obsessed with attacking and undermining abortion access. Yes, let me restate that. In 2021, legislators obsessed with attacking and undermining the murder of children introduced more than 500 anti-murder bills. We will never stop fighting back against this cruel extremism. The murder of children in utero is being formed as cruel extremism, and we will do everything we can to ensure access to reproductive care. These I almost just swore out loud here. Terms that are, it just makes me crazy. So yes, they are going to fight back. The Center for Reproductive Rights, they are going to fight back. This is time. This is one of those things, folks, and this may not be everybody's deal, but it's a lot of people's deal. You want to know how to be an activist. Now, this is not, again, we're not talking about Facebook activists. We're talking about getting out there and making sure that you have candidates in every position that are going to support life. Hold their little tootsies to the fire. Before you serve one pancake at a breakfast for them, before you give them one $3 donation, before you put one yard sign in your yard, you make cocksure that these people are going to support life, that they're on the side of life. There's nothing that is less political than, do you believe in life? Will you support life? Are you against the murder of children? That's what we're talking about. Are you against the murder of children? Christy Hawkins tweets, an abortionist only knows success when he or she stops a beating heart. Texas has just made this violent act illegal. This should be a non-story. Texas has just made murdering children illegal. That's what Texas has done. All right, we're gonna cover one. I have time for one more. 4 minutes. Time for one more. This is a 2017 article about mask addiction in Japan, and I think that a lot of people are in the same sort of deal. We're not any different than anywhere else in the world. As mask mandates continue to fall throughout the country, in places most never would have predicted just 2 weeks ago, those of us who have longed for a return to normalcy are breathing a sigh of relief and enjoying the ride. However, habitual mask wearers, particularly those aligned with the political left, aren't celebrating. Not by a long shot. Instead, they are clinging to their face diapers like Linus iron grips his security blanket. And they aren't about to let go anytime soon. We've all seen it play out time and time again with Branch Covidian mask wearers. Matt, this is my friend Matt. No, this is Scott Moorfield. I thought it was Matt Vespa. Covidian mask worshippers, we know online and even personally, no amount of data or reason will sway them, but why? Turns out the likely explanation for this illogical devotion to their weird face mask god is, in fact, rooted in mental illness. One that was eerily described in an article about Japanese mask addiction. Tor Ching Lee wrote for the Straits Times in 2017. Emma Woodhouse tweeted, article written in 2017 warns that acculturated masks can become addictive. People were wearing surgical masks not for the purposes they were intended, but because they had grown used to living behind the anonymity of a mask. This is from the piece. But if you stay in Japan long enough, you will realize that Japanese love affair with a surgical mask goes beyond health and hygiene to the realm of psychology and even pathology. While many wear the mask as a defense against allergens, some use it as a cover-up, a shield against social situations that trigger anxiety. Figures attest to this phenomenon have termed mask dependency. Mask production rose 20% year on year in 2015 to a record high of 4.9 billion pieces, according to the latest data from the Japanese Hygiene Products Industry Association. Emma Woodhouse also tweeted, while some people used to feel safe or secure when going out with a mask, it has reached a stage where they cannot go out without wearing a mask. That's how serious it's getting, said Yozo Kikumoto, a professional counselor who coined the term mask dependency in 2009. Now compare what you've read, what we just talked about, with this New York Times article from just this weekend. Inertia, too, is a force. A few people said they had gotten used to the mask and have come almost like their presence as a fashion accessories, a protection against common colds, a chance for anonymity along the streets. Some people said they needed more time to get used to the idea of switchback. People have said this. This is Mr. Rubin from, I don't know, just a dude from Orlando. I'm not going to run around 100% without my mask. Mr. Rubin, who lives in Orlando, Florida. I'll always have a mask in my pocket. Said Anna Krabersmith, 27, a gig worker and writer who lives in L.A., she says that she has apprehensions about giving up her mask. There's so much more than a safety vest at this point. Mr. Yozo Kikumoto, who set up professional counseling service Kikuwell in 2006, was the first to coin the term mask dependency, and a paper he wrote in 2009. People were wearing surgical masks not for the purposes they were intended for, he wrote, but because they had grown used to living behind the anonymity of a mask. The situation has gotten even more serious. Numbers of mask addicts seeking counseling at his practice have increased by 50%. Sufferers are in their 30s to 40s, with women making a slightly more than half the number, or 60%. The mask acts as a security blanket, and people with this addiction cannot talk to people without wearing a face mask, and society's acceptance of interactions behind a mask perpetuates such dependencies, says Mr. Kokomoto. Like any addiction, treatment needs to start with recognition and admission. My name is Willie Lawson, maskless today, and this is the Morning Report, maskless. A production of fightbackmedia.com, maskless. Until we see you again, go out there and learn, love somebody, learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all have a great day. Maskless.